Okay, so I'm going to take you through the annual training plan for the KTC program for the fall 2022 leading into all the way till fall 2023. Now, keep in mind, this is a generic plan. It is periodized to peak you out for races later in the summer, so that is the goal. That being said, if you are on a different race schedule or you're doing something completely different, then you might want to look at other options like personal coaching or really pay attention to how you can modify the program to hopefully meet your current ability level and I guess training needs as you progress through the race season or training and race season. So we are going to be kicking off the season in the middle of October. That's when we're going to be getting back into the pool, and that phase is going to be more of an orientation phase. So what I'm going to present to you today actually starts November 1st and takes us through all the way to October 2023. Okay, so we're starting with November. Now, this will be a preparation block. So what I've done is I've broken each month into a training block. So every about 3 to 4 weeks, depending on the length of the month, we are going to have a specific focus, followed up by recovery week. Obviously, the recovery week, we're going to focus on recovery, but we'll also revisit a lot of the technical aspects that we've been working on, revisit those, try to ingrain them even more, and we may work on other soft skills as well, things like transitions that we typically don't practice as frequently as you probably should. So starting in November, again, this is a preparation block. We're really going to be focusing on the foundations of the swim, bike, and run. And I'm going to quickly go through each month here and outline exactly how we're going to progress through the entire season. So again, November, the swim, foundational technique, really simple stuff, body position, breathing, things like that. We will be focusing on some club swimming basics. So how to swim in a group, how to train well together, how to get the most out of each other, how to get the most out of yourself, how to swim courteously together. So there will be some orientation going on around that. As well, obviously, we're always going to be building some sort of aerobic base, and we're going to get some video analysis going right out the gate to shock you into making change. The bike, we are going to be getting onto Zwift, so there will be some orientation around how to Zwift, how to get set up, how to live chat on Discord, and we'll be doing some workouts, races, TT events, and just feeling those out. Again, aerobic base will be also a priority. I will just stop mentioning the aerobic base or aerobic endurance because you're going to see that entirely through the plan. So you can always expect at least some of the week is going to be aerobic endurance building. Running, we're going to focus on some injury prevention, how to warm up properly, different exercises to strengthen, improve your strength, improve your stability, hopefully fix any deficiencies that might be going on in your running gait at the moment, as well as aerobic base, as I've mentioned before. Strength, we are going to be starting with anatomical adaptation, so super light, easy, just getting into the gym, finishing the workouts without hurting yourself too much, and basically getting into some simple lifting. Testing, we are going to be focused on testing some bike and run and figuring out your training zones for those two sports in November. So that's November. Moving on to December, this will be our first base block. We are going to be moving into a little more difficult stroke technique, so some stroke timing, stroke mechanics. We'll be getting into some interval basics, strength and stability, obviously around the shoulder, core, and I said I wasn't going to keep mentioning it, but aerobic base. Bike, we're going to work on some pedal stroke technique, so getting a nice smooth pedal stroke, efficiency, muscular endurance work as well to back that up or to reinforce some of that pedal stroke technique work with some slow over geared work, and aerobic base. And run, we're going to be working on your stride rate and breathing. I always like to start with stride rate. Basically lower the ground contact time, decrease the amount of risk of injury, and most of your deficiency probably in running faster is your turnover. So trying to pick that up. Again, breathing will also play a big role in terms of how you're managing perceived exertion. Breathing is probably your best indicator of intensity, so great to dial that in right out the gate. Strength, we are going to be starting to build towards some muscular strength work. So we're going to be adding in a little bit of more weight. So basically taking the anatomical adaptation exercises and just starting to, again, add more weight to it. Testing, we're going to get some swim testing going, and we'll continue to test on the bike as we'll be doing a lot of little bike events and things like that. So it'll be easy to kind of figure out where your FTP is moving on a frequent basis. So that is December. January is the second base block. So moving into the new year. Again, a little more advanced technical aspects in the pool. So we're going to focus on feel and force application, which again is something that everyone can always improve on. Your ability to provide force to the fluid that you're trying to move your body through is incredibly difficult. So we're going to kick that off in the new year. Stroke rate as well, the turnover, that tends to be just like running. One of probably your biggest limiters is how quickly you can move your arms and still maintain some good force application to the water. Video analysis, we're going to revisit that, see if we've made any meaningful change with some of the technique work that we've been doing. Strength and stability is still going to be in there. And moving on to the bike. This bike, we're going to get a little bit of speed going, some more efficiency work. So again, working on that pedal stroke, working on various cadences. Muscular strength, so taking muscular endurance work, the overgeared stuff, same overgeared but shorter, higher intensity. So we're going to keep boosting the strength up. And for the run, instead of stride rate, we're going to lengthen it out a little bit more, focus on the stride length. So it'll be a little bit more power focused. We're also going to really focus in on your posture, your running mechanics, do some video analysis, see if there's any deficiencies there, and see how you're running. The strength, we're going to continue to build towards that muscular strength. So continuing to add a little bit of weight to your lifts, and then testing bike and run. So going back to the run, see if we've made any meaningful progress in the last 2 months. So that is the first quarter, or first 3 months. Not really a quarter, I guess, in terms of calendar year. But moving on to February, our third base block. Last more technical piece of swimming, stroke balance and coordination, specifically coordinating the kick and the arm pull, which a lot of you don't do very well. Muscular endurance and stability, so we're really going to be starting to do a lot of paddle work, sculling work with paddles this year, and some lower and upper aerobic endurance. Bike, we're going to be starting to hit the intervals, so getting some VO2 max, some anaerobic capacity. Those are high intensity intervals. Running, we're going to be hitting some muscular endurance, so getting some hills going, strength and stability, and again, aerobic endurance, so starting to go longer and longer as we move into February. Strength, we are at muscular strength finally, so we are going to be lifting the heaviest that we are going to be lifting all year long in February. Now, that being said, it will depend on your ability and competency in terms of strength training or lifting. So you will probably need to modify that a little bit depending on your ability. And testing, we are going to be doing only swim testing in February, see if you've made any gains in the last 2 months. March, we are moving into lots of intervals, starting to get ready for race season here. So swimming, we're going to be doing lots of VO2 max intervals. Those are high intensity, same with the anaerobic capacity. So just kind of following the bike a little bit. Biking is kind of leading us out in terms of the intensity, and the swim and the run will kind of follow. So back to some video analysis as well, and I skipped over speed. So kind of a big hard or short, fast intervals in the pool with some video analysis. See what happens when you start going fast, what might break down. Bike, we are going to be lowering the intensity a bit, but they're going to go a little bit longer. The intensity is still high though, so threshold and VO2 max, so upper aerobic and beyond. And run, we are going to be still focused a little bit on stride length, so a little bit of power work. We're going to incorporate that into some of the hills that we just finished off with the muscular endurance work. Some speed, so some anaerobic capacity. Again, see what happens to your gait when you're running fast. And aerobic endurance is always in there. Strength, we are starting to now shift back to lighter weights but higher reps. So working more muscular endurance, which is really going to be important for race season, for keeping the muscles firing to the end of the race. And testing, we're just going to hit the run test in March there. So April, we are into build number 2, and we just keep building all the way through. Again, if this was a specific plan, we would probably peak you out for some of your early season races. But because it's more generic, we're going to keep building, and I would leave it up to you to decide when it's time to peak, when it's time to taper. And again, you'll have to make those adjustments. So swimming in April, we are going to be doing a lot of upper aerobic, lower aerobic work, some muscular endurance again. So back with a lot of paddle stuff and some speed. So a little bit of everything in April. Really trying to get race ready as we're on the heels of some of the early season races. Bike, we are some upper aerobic intervals, some power, and obviously some aerobic endurance. So probably starting to really stretch the bike out a bit. We might be outside riding by this time, depending on the weather. We'll have to see. Running, we're hitting some VO2 max and upper aerobic intervals. So working the intensity again, just following the bike intensity, a few blocks behind. And then strength, we're right into muscular endurance, so low weight, high reps, and again, give you that resiliency in the muscles to get you through right to the end of the race. Testing, swim, and bike, and we're almost through, moving into spring here, May. Hopefully we're out on the roads. Might be starting to look at open water a bit, at least near the end of the month. I think I saved that for June, but upper aerobic capacity, lower aerobic endurance. So lots of upper and lower aerobic stuff. We're going to start doing some race skills as well. So some pool, race skills, especially if you're doing the local race here, the Cherry Blossom. And we will start playing around with a little bit of sighting work and drafting and whatnot. Bike, we are hopefully hitting the road outside near the end of the month, so we will do some intro to road riding, some upper aerobic capacity work, and some good old brick workouts. So starting to get some bike to run work, get the run legs working after biking. Running, very similar, upper aerobic capacity, obviously aerobic endurance and getting some bricks going. And strength, we're going to move more into some plyometric and maintenance work as we're starting to get into race season. So we'll keep the explosiveness going, we'll keep the strength hopefully that you have, and continue that all the way through the summer. So you're going to see pretty much just plyometric and maintenance all the way through this going forward. The strength phase is over. So testing, we got some run work, and the other stuff we'll get into are some transitions and fueling strategy as we're getting into prepping for race season. June, a lot of us have our first races, if not in May, but some of the longer races are popping up. A lot of the 70.3s I know that locally we're gearing up for happen in June. So lots of upper aerobic capacity, lower aerobic endurance, open water swim skills. We will be hopefully for sure be in the water at least by the end of June. So we will do some orientation, some safety stuff, entries and exits, and hopefully Mother Nature cooperates and we have as nice a spring as we have this fall. So we will see. Bike, we are doing some upper aerobic capacity, lower aerobic endurance, so same as the swim. So you're gonna see a lot of the upper aerobic, lower aerobic. That's, the two systems we really want to work. A lot of it will be focused on lactate in terms of as much lactate as you can produce and still buffer or utilize as fuel from the aerobic system. And of course, just really developing that aerobic system for endurance. That's going to be required, especially for those of you that are doing some longer racing a little bit later on, like full distance races, later in the season. We will be doing quite a few outdoor workouts in June on the bike. So our TTs, hill climbs, bricks, similar to what you saw this year. Those seem to work quite well. Running, again, a lot of upper aerobic, lower aerobic, a little bit of speed work in there. So a little bit of speed change stuff. As I mentioned, strength is going to stay the same, and testing, swim, and bike. July, we are right into race season here. Again, upper aerobic, lower aerobic stuff. You're going to see that for the bike and the run, with a little bit of power stuff, muscular endurance sprinkled in there. So the explosive work and some of the hill work on the run will also happen, as well as open water skills, sighting, drafting, swimming in different weather conditions we're going to cover. So some of those different skills there, and testing, we are testing the run. we are almost through summer, at least in this hemisphere. August, we're going to be peaking out. Again, all upper aerobic, lower aerobic, some muscular endurance thrown in there, some brick workouts thrown in there, maintenance on the strength, and testing the swim and the bike. Again, this will be when we're really peaking out for some of those big races. And then September, we are either transitioning or you're continuing to peak. So the highest volume will be occurring in August, in September. And again, it depends whether you have any late season races or not. If you're racing any of the world championships, obviously we're going to keep building. But if your season's done either at the end of August or midway through September, then we'll start dialing it back and start focusing on some recovery, let the body reset, and get ready for the next season. Which is hard to think about when we haven't even started this one yet. And then October, we are in the off season. Again, unless you're racing any world championships or any late season races, we'll make some modifications. But we are going right back to where we started with foundational technique work, the orientations, the club swimming, the club workouts, back on Zwift probably. And yeah, injury prevention, all that fun stuff. Hopefully taking what we learned from this season, tweaking it, making it that much better again, and just continuing to improve on what we do year over year. So that is the general overview of the entire year's plan. I know some of that might have went, whew, or you just fell off, I don't know, 10 minutes ago because you got bored. But there is a method to my madness. Obviously, we have lots of workouts each week to hit on all these things. If you're looking at it going, wow, how do we accomplish that much? Well, you know, we potentially have 3 swims, 3 bikes, and three runs that we can work on different aspects. So it's actually not that much. And you can have multiple, or can have multiple focuses. Foci. You can focus on multiple aspects in one workout as well. So, as I said, generally this will be what leads us through, and hopefully there's enough changes in training stimuli that you continually progress through the entire year, as opposed to doing just the same thing week in, week out, and becoming stagnant and not seeing any gains whatsoever. So that is what will come up. And like I said, if you do need to make modifications, obviously as we progress through, we will talk about those. But if you are looking for something a little bit more specific, then you might want to check out personal coaching and get a plan dialed in exactly for you and your race calendar and personal schedule and, yeah, current ability. So that is it. I can't wait to train with you. And, you know, you can jump into this at any point. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend jumping into some of our peak months, but you will have the opportunity as well to start farther back, download earlier training blocks, and hopefully make up the ground you might have lost if you're joining a little bit later in the season. But might as well get on now and start with the program, see it through, start to finish, and I guarantee you are going to put in your best race results ever. Till next time, take care.